What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Weekend Vagabond. Today we're checking out Black Mountain Falls in Mark Twain National Forest. We got here relatively quickly after some rain, so we've got water flowing on the falls. It's going to be some really cool scenery. Check it out. Hey, we're back down at Black Mountain Falls. Finally got to come down here after a rain, so there's actually some water flowing in the falls. Just a thing to point out before I start on this hike, there is a GPS path on alltrails.com for this hike, but it's labeled as private property, and I did some research on it, and if you follow the loop trail that's on alltrails.com, it will take you onto private property, so do not use that path. What I'm going to be doing today is hiking up the side of Black Mountain Falls. This is in Mark Twain National Forest, so this is public land. And I'm just going to hike all the way up to the top and probably go a little bit past the falls, look for a wooded area on top of Black Mountain. And tonight we're going to be hammock camping at the top of Black Mountain. So if you haven't seen my video on this location before, really amazing waterfalls. We get to start off, it's right off Highway E with a really big waterfall here. But as you're going to see as we start to climb up the side, every time you reach the top of one fall, it kind of reveals another set of waterfalls up above. So I hope you enjoy the video and the scenery, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Well, as you can see, we're just starting the trail and we're already rock hopping a little bit. It's not bad though. The footing's pretty good. And you could technically get around all these boulders by going a little wider around the hill here, but I'm trying to stay as close to the waterfalls as I can for scenery. So, as you can probably see here in just a second, we are really high. So it looks like I'm gaining elevation much faster than the falls do. So one thing to keep in mind if you decide to come down here is, like I mentioned in the intro, you can't use the path that's posted online. I found it on alltrails.com. It does take you onto private property. So if you look at the land records online, though, Black Mountain Falls itself is definitely part of Mark Twain National Forest. So again, we're just going straight up, camp at the top, straight back down tomorrow morning. The other thing to be prepared for is that you're going to be bushwhacking quite a bit. There's not really a defined trail here. It kind of, in a couple spots, you can see what looks like a trail, but for the most part, you just have to find your way to the top. I'll post my GPS track for this hike when I'm done, but disclaimer, it might not have been the best route. It's just the one that I took. So just be prepared to make your own way. I'm trying to stick as close to the falls as I can, but the terrain doesn't necessarily make it that easy in some spots. See, like right here, it's kind of hard to see with the camera, but it's pretty much a straight drop. So obviously staying a little bit wide of that. Okay, we're getting pretty close to the top here. Just a second, you'll see some pretty impressive stuff. So the last time I was here, this is as high as I went because I was following a trail and it started to break away from the falls right here. But that's not the plan today. Today the plan is we're going to continue up these falls, see how far it goes. I know straight back is still part of Mark Twain National Forest, so that's all clear. So from the bottom of the falls up to the point that I'm at now, it's less than a half mile. It's really not a difficult hike at all. The worst part is just that there is some decent elevation gain and you're kind of making your own trail as you go, but distance wise, really easy. Like I mentioned before, this is where I stopped at last time because the trail I was taking went off that way. But today we're staying right along the fall, so all this stuff is new for you and for me. So let's see what more we can find. We're definitely off trail now. We're just following this creek. This is what feeds those waterfalls. See how far back it goes. And also keeping an eye out for the ideal hammock spot at some point. Still have plenty of time left in the day, but there's more falls. Well, you can probably tell from the lack of background noise now that I've left the creek that I was walking next to. I followed that about half a mile past where the actual falls ended, and now I've branched off, headed south, I believe, following what looks like a old creek bed, basically looking for the peak of Black Mountain. So I marked a camp spot that I found, and I have plenty of time that I can go back to that if I need to. I've still got like 3 or 4 hours until sunset, so plenty of time to explore a little bit more before deciding on a final spot. But what I'm thinking I'm going to do is hike all the way back to that big open area that we stopped at, and just camp there and try to catch the sunset or sunrise in the morning. So I think that open area faces east, so we should be able to swallowed a bug. We should be able to catch a good sunrise. Also, I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but obviously I'm staying within the boundaries of Mark Twain National Forest. And one of the reasons for that is that I can basically camp wherever I feel like stopping. You can primitive camp anywhere in the forest as long as you are 100 feet from, I think they call it an administrative site. So a trail, a creek, a recreation area, as long as you're 100 feet from all those, you can camp anywhere. So I definitely prefer that to some of the alternatives. You know, there's some nice conservation areas that I've visited and made some videos on, but they have much stricter rules on where you can go, and I kind of prefer the freedom, I guess you would say, to just walk until I decide I'm done and set up camp. Well, I've been following this, it was like an old forestry road, and followed it up to the top of Black Mountain, but there's not really any good views or anything up there. I mean, it's cool, but it's kind of heavily forested and nothing particularly scenic. So I've turned around, and now I'm backtracking, and I'm gonna go find a spot that I marked earlier that I can set up camp at and still have the sound of running water in the background somewhere. So we are now headed backwards. Okay, so I think I've picked my stopping point for the evening. The trail is back that way. I'm probably a couple 100 feet away. Got a couple good trees. Got some rocks I can use to help shield my stove from the wind when I'm cooking dinner later. So yeah, I'm gonna get the hammock set up and relax for a little bit. got the hammock all set up. It's a bug net, which is a necessity because the bugs are kind of stupid out here right now. There's gnats everywhere. And then this is kind of a little bit unconventional for hammock camping, I think, but I'm using a Big Agnes sleeping pad instead of an underquilt. I just got that for my tent, and I tried it in my hammock once just to, you know, just for fun, and I think I like it better having the sleeping pad in there. So it's like, it's not fully inflated, it's most of the way inflated. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the same R value for keeping me warm as I would with my underquilt. I have a fairly cheap underquilt. And then got my sleeping bag in there, lofting up, which I don't even know if I'm going to need that tonight. I don't think it's supposed to get that cold. That's it. Then I do have a tarp to set up as like a rain fly, but there's no rain in the forecast, so I'm not going to mess with it. It's worst case scenario, I'll have to set it up sometime during the night. So I got this rock over here, which some animal was using as a table, I believe, but now it's mine. So I'm gonna cook some dinner. Okay, water's boiled. Tonight I'm having beef stroganoff. Well, good morning, everybody. It's about 5:45 in the morning, and I'm already packed up, back on the trail. Did a rapid exit this morning. Learned a pretty good lesson last night. When I packed up to come down here, I kind of was a little bit impromptu, so I didn't go through my bag and make sure that I had every single item. And long story short, I had a pretty good headache last night from allergies, and my first aid kit stuff is mostly at home, so not the best night's sleep, but could have been a lot worse. Don't think we're definitely not going to make it to the falls again by sunrise like the goal was. Just didn't really, I'm a good distance away from them. I'm like a half mile away right now, and I didn't really want to night hike my way back to the waterfalls, or early morning hike my way back in the dark. So it's all right. We're on the move. Shouldn't take too long to get back to that area, so we'll see what we can see when we get there. Well, here we are back at the Jeep. Had to finish recording on my phone because my SD card filled up on my Osmo action cam that I use. All in all, it was an awesome hike. The waterfalls, you have to come down and check them out. Even if you don't hike the whole trail, come down and check out the waterfalls. I will say that coming back down the falls area in order to stay on public land was a lot sketchier than going up. There were a couple of places that I had to double back because I was walking downhill and I would come up to a cliff with, it was a pretty steep drop off. So nothing too challenging, just had to keep an eye on my GPS track that I took on my way up to figure out when I needed to kind of swing wide from the falls a little bit and just walk down the hillside. So that does it for me. As always, if you liked the video, hit the thumbs up and let me know that you enjoyed it, and please consider subscribing to the channel. I have a lot more stuff planned now that the weather's getting better, so hope to have you along for the trips.